I stared at the identical wedding invitations on my kitchen counter, one for my wedding and one for my sister's, scheduled for the exact same day at the exact same venue. My hands shook as I read her text. Sorry, sis. Guess we'll be sharing the spotlight. Mom says we can split the flowers. That moment, standing in my apartment still wearing my engagement ring, I decided my wedding would happen as planned, but not in the way anyone expected. 20 minutes after finding the duplicate invitation in my mailbox, I sat across from my fiancé Jason at our favorite cafe. The late afternoon sun illuminated his confused expression as I slid my sister's invitation across the table. This came today, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Caitlin is getting married. Same day as us. Same venue. Jason picked up the cream-colored card, his eyes narrowing as he read. There must be some mistake. Did you call her? Oh, it's no mistake. She texted me this. I handed him my phone with Caitlin's message displayed. Mom says we can split the flowers, I repeated sarcastically. Like we're 8-year-olds sharing a birthday party. Jason's face shifted from confusion to disbelief. But we've had our date booked for 6 months. The deposits, the vendors, everything's arranged. Exactly. I sipped my now cold coffee. Everything's arranged by me, the professional wedding planner. The sister who sends Caitlin venue options and photographer portfolios whenever she asks. Understanding dawned in Jason's eyes. She used your research. Not just my research. My exact pics. The ones I've been saving for our wedding since before we were even engaged. I leaned forward, keeping my voice low despite the anger rising in my chest. Do you know what's really crazy? She asked to see my planning binder last month. Said she was just curious about my process. Jason reached for my hand. We should talk to your parents. They can't possibly think this is okay. I laughed bitterly. Mom's the one who suggested we split the flowers, remember? I called her right after I got Caitlin's text. She said, and I quote, Alexa, don't be difficult. This way the family only has to attend one event. It's practical. Jason's grip tightened on mine. What do you want to do? We could change our date. I pulled my hand away and reached for my bag, removing a sleek black notebook, my personal planner, not the wedding binder Caitlin had borrowed. No, we're not changing anything. So we're going forward with a double wedding? Jason looked skeptical. Not exactly. I opened the notebook to reveal detailed notes, contacts, and a timeline I'd been working on since discovering the duplicate invitation an hour ago. I'm going to give my sister exactly what she wants, the spotlight. But first, I need to know. Did you know about this? Jason's face paled. What? No, of course not. I held his gaze, searching for any hint of deception. Are you sure? Because Caitlin's fiancé Mark is your friend from college. You guys still play basketball every Thursday. Alexa, I swear I didn't know. Mark hasn't said a word about wedding dates. I studied him for a moment longer, then nodded. Okay, I believe you. I flipped to a new page in my notebook. Now, here's what we're going to do. Jason leaned forward, confusion shifting to curiosity. What are you thinking? I smiled for the first time that day, though it didn't reach my eyes. I'm thinking it's time I put my professional skills to personal use. Caitlin wants to steal my wedding? Fine, but I'm going to make sure she remembers what happens when you cross Boston's premier wedding planner. I didn't explain further, just kept writing in my notebook. What Jason didn't know was that inside my bag was also a small leather portfolio containing evidence of something I discovered while helping Caitlin with her research. Something that would change everything when revealed at exactly the right moment. Trust me, I said, looking up to meet his concerned gaze. I've planned over 100 weddings, and I've dealt with dozens of bridezillas and their enabling mothers. This will be my masterpiece. Jason looked uncertain. Alexa, I don't want our wedding day to be about revenge. It won't be, I assured him, closing my notebook with finality. It'll be about truth. As we left the cafe, I felt my phone vibrate with a call from my mother. I silenced it without answering. The time for family discussions was over. Now it was time for action. Back in my apartment, I spread my materials across the dining table, vendor contracts, venue floor plans, and guest list spreadsheets. As Boston's most in-demand wedding planner, I'd built my reputation on creating flawless events. I could navigate family dynamics, handle unexpected crises, and transform ordinary spaces into magical settings. I just never expected to use these skills to salvage my own wedding from my sister's sabotage. I worked late into the night, making calls to trusted vendors and revising plans. When I finally crawled into bed, I found Jason already asleep. As I stared at the ceiling, I wondered if he truly hadn't known about Caitlin's plan. We'd been together for 3 years, but suddenly I wasn't sure I knew him at all. My sister and I had always had a complicated relationship. Growing up as daughters of a prominent Boston family, we'd been raised to compete for our parents' attention, for academic achievements, for social standing. But the playing field was never level. Caitlin, younger by 2 years, had always been my mother's favorite. She was the pretty one, the sociable one, the one who made my mother proud at family gatherings. I was the practical one, the reliable one, the wedding planner who ensured everyone else's special day was perfect while putting my own needs last. Now, as I drifted toward sleep, I wondered if she'd been plotting this all along, waiting for the perfect moment to steal what mattered most to me. The thought sent a chill through me, but it also hardened my resolve. This wasn't just about a wedding anymore. This was about years of rivalry, resentment, and being taken for granted finally coming to a head. And I was determined to come out on top. The next morning, I called my usual partner at Elegant Events, the planning agency I'd founded 5 years ago. "Olivia, I need your help," I said without preamble when she answered. "Remember that backup plan we created for the Harriman wedding last year when the sister-in-law tried to announce her pregnancy during the reception?" "Of course," Olivia replied, her voice instantly shifting to business mode. The preemptive champagne toast with the photo montage. It was brilliant. "We need something 10 times more brilliant for my wedding." I paused. My sister just scheduled her wedding for the same day, same venue. The string of expletives that followed made me smile despite everything. This was why Olivia was my best friend and business partner. "I'm coming over," she announced. "This calls for emergency Prosecco and the premium revenge package." Within an hour, Olivia was at my door with a bottle of champagne and her laptop. We sat at my dining table, now covered in wedding plans. "First things first," Olivia said, pouring champagne into coffee mugs, the only clean glasses I had. "Do we sabotage her or outshine her?" "Both," I replied without hesitation. "I want the truth to come out, but I also want my wedding to be remembered as the event of the season." Olivia raised her mug in a toast. To making Caitlin wish she'd never messed with Boston's premier wedding planner. We clinked mugs and got to work. Over the next 2 weeks, I maintained a facade of reluctant acceptance. I attended a joint wedding planning brunch organized by my mother, where Caitlin gushed about her ideas, all stolen from my original plans. I smiled tightly as my mother suggested we coordinate our dresses, so the photos look cohesive. Of course, I agreed pleasantly. Whatever makes the day special. My father, attempting to keep the peace, offered to increase the budget. "To make sure both my girls have everything they want," he said, looking uncomfortable in the middle of this conflict. "That's very generous, Dad," I replied, watching Caitlin's eyes light up at the mention of more money. "But I've already made arrangements that I'm quite happy with." The truth was, I had indeed made arrangements, just not the ones they were expecting. As I left the brunch, I overheard my mother consoling Caitlin in the kitchen. "Don't worry, sweetheart. Your day will be beautiful. Alexa may know how to plan weddings, but you've always been the star of the family." The words stung, but they weren't surprising. They just confirmed what I'd always known. In my mother's eyes, Caitlin would always come first. That afternoon, Olivia called with a breakthrough. "You won't believe what I found," she said, her voice tense with excitement. I was talking to Shannon at Bloom Brigade about your floral arrangements, and she mentioned that Caitlin came in last week, not for a consultation, but to cancel your original order. My blood ran cold. What? She pretended to be you, Alexa. Had your client number and everything. She canceled your flowers and replaced the order with her own selections. Shannon only realized something was off when I called to confirm details. I gripped the phone tighter. Did she do this with other vendors? I'm checking, but probably. She's systematically erasing your wedding and replacing it with hers. I closed my eyes, trying to control my breathing. This went beyond sibling rivalry or stealing ideas. This was deliberate sabotage. There's more, Olivia continued. I reached out to some of your recent clients, the ones Caitlin met at your holiday party. 2 of them said she contacted them claiming to be your associate and tried to get them to switch their events to her new planning business. She doesn't have a planning business, I said, confused. According to her new Instagram account, Caitlin's Elite Events, she does. She's using your portfolio photos with the watermark cropped out. I sat down heavily on my couch. The audacity was breathtaking. Caitlin wasn't just stealing my wedding, she was trying to steal my entire career. Keep digging, I told Olivia. I want to know everything she's done. The next day, I met Jason for lunch, bringing my laptop loaded with the evidence Olivia had compiled, screenshots of Caitlin's fake business account, emails from confused vendors, testimony from my clients. This is insane, Jason said, scrolling through the material. Have you confronted her? Not yet. I want the full picture first. I studied his face carefully. Jason, I need to ask you something, and I need complete honesty. Has Mark ever mentioned anything about Caitlin starting an event planning business? Jason hesitated, just a fraction of a second too long. My stomach dropped. Jason, he sighed, closing the laptop. He mentioned something a few weeks ago about Caitlin thinking about following in your footsteps. I didn't think much of it. Lots of people talk about starting businesses they never actually launch. And you didn't think to tell me this? Especially after I showed you the duplicate invitation? I didn't connect the dots, he said, but he couldn't meet my eyes. Look, Mark's my friend. I didn't want to start drama based on an offhand comment. I sat back, a cold feeling spreading through me. What else haven't you told me? Jason fidgeted with his napkin. Nothing important. Jason. He exhaled sharply. Fine. Mark mentioned that Caitlin felt overshadowed by you. That she was tired of being the wedding planner's sister and wanted to make a name for herself. He thought it was admirable. Admirable. I repeated, my voice rising. She's stealing my clients, Jason. She's sabotaging my wedding. She's committing actual fraud by impersonating me to vendors. I didn't know about any of that, he protested. You can't blame me for things I had no knowledge of. But you knew something? I pressed. You knew she was jealous. You knew she was planning something involving my business, and you chose to keep that from me. Jason reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Alexa, please. I was trying to keep the peace. You know how fragile things are with your family. I didn't want to make it worse. I looked at him, really looked at him, and realized with sudden clarity that this man I was planning to marry had been prioritizing my sister's feelings over mine. Just like my mother had always done. I need some time to think, I said, gathering my things. The rehearsal dinner is in 2 days. I'll see you there. Alexa, wait. I said I need time, Jason. I walked out of the restaurant, my mind racing. This was no longer just about saving my wedding. It was about saving myself from a lifetime of being second best, not just to my sister, but even to my own husband. The night before the rehearsal dinner, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, scrolling through my phone, reviewing the evidence Olivia had gathered. Around midnight, a notification popped up. Caitlin had just posted a new Instagram story. I tapped on it, and my breath caught. It was a screenshot of a text conversation with Jason. The message from him read, "Don't worry about Alexa. I'll make sure everything goes smoothly tomorrow. She'll never suspect we've been talking." Caitlin had captioned it, Final wedding preparations with my amazing future BIL. Hashtag Team Caitlin. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. I immediately called Jason, but it went straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. I switched to text. I just saw Caitlin's Instagram story. Call me now. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared. Finally, it's not what it looks like. I'll explain tomorrow. Explain now, I typed back. Or don't bother showing up at the rehearsal. No response. I called Olivia. She posted a screenshot of texts with Jason. I said when she answered, my voice cracking. They've been coordinating behind my back. Olivia was silent for a moment. That settles it, she said finally. We're going with the nuclear option. The nuclear option was the most extreme contingency plan we developed, one that would expose everything Caitlin had done, not just to our family, but to all our wedding guests, including industry professionals and influential clients. It would devastate her reputation before her fake business even got off the ground. And now it would implicate Jason too. Are you sure? Olivia asked. Once we do this, there's no going back. Your relationship with Caitlin might never recover. I thought about all the times I'd stepped aside to let Caitlin shine. All the times I'd planned her birthday parties, helped with her college applications, introduced her to my professional contacts. All the years I'd shrunk myself to make room for her, only to have her try to take the one day that should have been mine. I'm sure, I said. It's time everyone saw the truth. The rehearsal dinner was held at an upscale restaurant overlooking Boston Harbor. I arrived deliberately late, making an entrance in a white dress that was just bridal enough to make Caitlin, who had also worn white, look like she was copying me. Jason tried to catch my eye as I walked in, but I ignored him, greeting my parents and future in-laws with practiced warmth. Caitlin seemed oblivious to the tension, laughing too loudly with her bridesmaids and clinging to Mark's arm. Throughout the dinner, I maintained a calm, pleasant demeanor, letting everyone assume things had been resolved. When it came time for toasts, my father stood first, raising his glass. To my beautiful daughters, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Elizabeth and I are so proud of the women you've become. Tomorrow will be a unique celebration, 2 weddings, 2 wonderful couples, one very special day. Everyone applauded. My mother wiped away a tear. Caitlin beamed. Then Jason stood up, glass in hand. I'd like to say something too. He looked directly at me. Alexa, I know the past few weeks have been challenging. Finding out we'd be sharing our wedding day came as a shock. A few uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the room. But I want you to know how much I love you and how excited I am to start our life together tomorrow. He paused, and I saw something in his eyes, pleading, perhaps, or guilt. You've always put others first. You've built a career making other people's dreams come true. Tomorrow is about your dreams, our dreams, and I promise to always prioritize them, prioritize you, the way you deserve. The room fell silent. It was a beautiful toast, seemingly heartfelt. But all I could think about was that text message. Don't worry about Alexa. I'll make sure everything goes smoothly. I raised my own glass, my hand steady despite the storm inside me. Thank you, Jason. That means a lot. I turned to address the room. And thank you all for being here to celebrate with us. Family means everything to me, which is why tomorrow is so important. I took a sip of champagne, letting the moment stretch. Then I added, in fact, family is so important that I've prepared a special surprise for tomorrow's ceremony. Something to truly commemorate this unique occasion. Caitlin shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Jason looked alarmed. What kind of surprise? My mother asked, trying to maintain her smile. You'll have to wait and see, I replied. But I promise it will be unforgettable. As the evening wound down, Jason cornered me near the coat check. Alexa, we need to talk about that text. It wasn't what it looked like. Then what was it? I demanded. Because it looked like you and my sister have been conspiring behind my back. No conspiring, he insisted. She's been asking me questions about the wedding, about you. I've been trying to keep things civil to help her understand how important this day is to you. By saying, "Don't worry about Alexa?" He ran a hand through his hair in frustration. That was poor phrasing. I meant I'd make sure you were okay with everything, that I'd talk to you and smooth things over. I wasn't buying it. Why keep it secret then? Why not tell me you've been talking to her? Because I knew how you'd react. Just like this. You'd assume the worst. The worst. I laughed bitterly. Jason, she's systematically trying to erase my wedding and replace it with hers. She's impersonated me to vendors. She's stolen my professional portfolio. What exactly is the worst? I could be assuming. He had no answer for that. I'll see you at the altar tomorrow, I said coolly. Assuming you still want to get married. Of course I do, he said, looking wounded. I love you, Alexa. I searched his face, wanting desperately to believe him. Then prove it tomorrow. Be on my side for once. The morning of my wedding dawned bright and clear. Perfect weather for the outdoor ceremony we'd planned at the historic Fairmont estate. As I sat in the bridal suite, surrounded by my bridesmaids, I felt strangely calm. Olivia worked efficiently, coordinating with vendors via text while my other friends helped me with hair and makeup. My mother fluttered in and out, dividing her time between my suite and Caitlin's, bringing reports of my sister's progress. Caitlin's dress is stunning, she gushed during one visit. The beadwork is exquisite. I'm sure it is, I replied, meeting Olivia's eyes in the mirror. Mom, could you check if Dad is ready? I'd like to speak with him before the ceremony. Once she left, Olivia locked the door and pulled the leather portfolio from her bag, the one containing all our evidence. Everything's set, she confirmed. The adjusted seating chart has been implemented, the DJ has the revised playlist, and the special presentation is queued up for your signal. I nodded, feeling the weight of what I was about to do. And the audio? All set. The mic will pick up everything. There was a knock at the door. Olivia unlocked it to reveal my father, handsome in his tuxedo, his expression a mix of pride and concern. You wanted to see me, sweetheart? Yes, Dad. I dismissed my bridesmaids with a nod, but Olivia stayed, positioning herself discreetly by the window, the portfolio now hidden in her large tote bag. Dad, before we go out there, I need to ask you something. I took his hands in mine. Do you think it's fair, what Caitlin did? Taking my wedding date, my venue, even my vendors. My father sighed heavily. Alexa, I know it's not ideal. But your mother thought, I'm not asking what Mom thought. I interrupted gently. I'm asking what you think. He hesitated, then his shoulders sagged. No, it's not fair. If I'm honest, I've been disappointed by how this has played out. But your mother was so set on the idea, and Caitlin was so excited, that my feelings didn't matter. I finished for him. Just like they never have when it comes to Caitlin. Pain flashed across his face. That's not true, isn't it? Can you name one time when my wishes came before hers? One time when Mom chose me over her. He couldn't answer. I love you, Dad. And after today, I hope we can start rebuilding our relationship, one where I'm not always expected to sacrifice for everyone else's happiness. I squeezed his hands. But today is going to be difficult. I just wanted to warn you. What are you planning, Alexa? He asked, suddenly alarmed. The truth, I said simply. It's all I've ever wanted. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 p.m., with both brides walking down separate aisles to meet their grooms at a central altar. As I waited in the garden antechamber, I could see guests being seated, many looking confused by the unusual setup. My mother appeared, flustered. Alexa, there's a problem with the seating chart. Some of Caitlin's guests are being seated on your side. It's fine, Mom, I assured her with a serene smile. I made some adjustments. After all, we're one big family today, aren't we? She looked suspicious, but was distracted by the arrival of the photographer. Oh, we need pre-ceremony pictures. Let me get Caitlin. As she hurried away, I checked my phone. A message from Olivia confirmed everything was in place. I closed my eyes briefly, centering myself. In less than an hour, I would either reclaim my dignity or destroy my family relationships forever. But my gut told me this was necessary, not just for today, but for the rest of my life. The music began, not the traditional wedding march we'd originally planned, but a powerful orchestral piece I'd selected for its dramatic crescendos. My father appeared at my side, offering his arm. "Ready?" he asked, his expression tense. "More than ever," I replied. We stepped onto the white runner just as Caitlin and our mother emerged on the opposite side of the garden. The guests rose, cameras flashed, and the parallel processions began. As I walked toward the altar where Jason waited, his face a mask of nervous happiness, I scanned the crowd. The seating arrangement had worked perfectly. All of my industry colleagues and important clients were positioned where they'd have a clear view of what was about to unfold. Caitlin caught my eye across the garden, her smile faltering slightly at my confident expression. She'd expected me to be diminished by sharing my day, perhaps even humiliated by her superior connections and budget. Instead, I moved with purpose, every step bringing me closer to the moment of truth. When we reached the altar, the officiant welcomed everyone to this unique celebration of love. Jason took my hands, squeezing them reassuringly. I squeezed back, hoping desperately that he wasn't as deeply involved in Caitlin's schemes as I feared. Before we begin the ceremony, the officiant continued according to my revised script. Alexa has prepared a special presentation to honor both couples. This was it. I turned to the gathered guests, my voice clear and steady. Thank you all for coming today. As you know, I'm a wedding planner by profession, so presentation is my specialty. Polite laughter rippled through the crowd. I've created a short video to celebrate this unusual occasion. I nodded to Olivia, who signaled the tech team. The large screens positioned on either side of the altar came to life, displaying not the romantic photo montage guests expected, but a compilation of evidence, screenshots of Caitlin's fake business page using my photos, emails from vendors confirming she had impersonated me to cancel my arrangements, and finally, the text messages between her and Jason. Gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. Caitlin's face drained of color. Mark looked bewildered. My mother covered her mouth in shock. For those who don't know the full story, I continued, my voice steady. I booked this venue and these vendors 6 months ago for my wedding. 4 weeks ago, my sister scheduled her wedding for the same day, same location, without consulting me. She then systematically canceled my arrangements by impersonating me to vendors, stole my professional portfolio to start a competing business, and conspired with my fiancé behind my back. I turned to face Caitlin directly. I've spent my entire life stepping aside to let you shine. I've planned your parties, helped with your resume, introduced you to my professional contacts. And this is how you repay me by trying to steal the one day that should have been mine. Caitlin's eyes filled with tears. It wasn't like that, she protested weakly. Then what was it like? I challenged. Explain to everyone why you needed to have your wedding on exactly the same day as mine. Silence fell over the gathering. Even the birds seemed to pause their singing. Caitlin's voice cracked. I was tired of being in your shadow. You're always so perfect, so successful. Everyone admires you, respects you. I'm just the other Donovan girl, the one who couldn't find her path. The raw honesty in her voice caught me off guard. So I thought, she continued, tears now streaming down her face, if we shared a wedding, some of that success would feel like mine too. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to feel special for once. I stared at her, momentarily speechless. This wasn't the calculated malice I'd expected. It was desperation, insecurity, the pain of always feeling second best. And the business? I asked, gesturing to the screen, still showing her fake Instagram page. The impersonating me to vendors? She looked down. I got carried away. It started with just the wedding, but then it felt good, pretending to be you. Having that confidence, that authority. I'm sorry, Alexa. I know it was wrong. A heavy silence fell over the garden. I turned to Jason. And you? What's your explanation for keeping her secrets? Jason looked pale, his eyes darting between me and the crowd. I was trying to help her understand how much she was hurting you. Those messages, they're taken out of context. I was trying to defuse the situation, not enable her. By telling her not to worry about me. By telling her I'd make sure you were okay, he insisted. Alexa, I love you. I've always been on your side. I wanted to believe him. Part of me still did. But the evidence, the secrecy, it all pointed to a deeper problem. My mother stepped forward then, her face ashen. Alexa, Caitlin, I never realized. She trailed off, seeming to comprehend for the first time the damage her favoritism had caused. This is my fault. I've always treated you differently, pushed you against each other. I thought I was helping, but I was just creating this mess. I hadn't expected that. In all my planning, I'd never anticipated my mother taking responsibility. My father moved to stand beside her. We both failed you, he said quietly. We let this happen. The ceremony had completely derailed now. Guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The wedding party looked stricken. This public airing of family dysfunction was exactly what I'd planned, but now, facing the reality of it, I felt hollow. I turned to Jason. I need to know right now, if you had known about Caitlin's plans from the beginning, would you have told me immediately? He hesitated. Just for a second, but it was enough. You wouldn't have, I realized. You'd have tried to manage the situation. Keep the peace. Find a compromise. Alexa, that's your answer. I slipped my engagement ring off and placed it in his palm. I need someone who puts me first. Who fights for me. Who sees me. Shocked murmurs rippled through the audience. This was definitely not the wedding anyone had expected to witness. I'm so sorry, Caitlin said, her voice small. I never thought. I didn't realize how much I was taking from you. Something softened in me then. Not forgiveness. Not yet, but understanding. We'd both been shaped by the same dysfunctional family dynamics, she to expect everything to revolve around her, me to always give way. I know, I said simply, but I'm done enabling it. I turned to address our stunned guests. I apologize for the unconventional ceremony. There will not be a wedding today, at least not for me. Those of you who came for Caitlin and Mark's ceremony are welcome to stay. Everyone else, thank you for coming. There's an open bar at the Harborview Hotel where my not-wedding reception will be held in 1 hour for anyone who'd like to join me. With that, I walked back down the aisle alone, head held high. As I passed my mother, I squeezed her hand briefly, not forgiveness, but a small acknowledgement, a tiny bridge across the chasm that had opened between us. Olivia fell into step beside me as I reached the garden exit. Well, she said quietly, that didn't go exactly as planned. No, I agreed. It was better. You just walked away from your wedding. From Jason. I walked away from being second choice. I corrected her. There's a difference. 6 months later, my business was thriving. The story of how I'd stood up for myself at my own almost wedding had spread through Boston's social circles, positioning me not just as a talented planner, but as someone with integrity and self-respect. Clients specifically requested the planner who knows her worth. Caitlin and I were cautiously rebuilding our relationship, starting with honest conversations facilitated by a family therapist. She'd abandoned her attempt to copy my career and had found her own path in event photography, a field where we could occasionally collaborate rather than compete. My mother was trying, in her awkward way, to repair the damage decades of favoritism had caused. She'd started visiting my office, bringing lunch and asking questions about my business with genuine interest. Small steps, but meaningful ones. Jason had moved to Chicago for a new job. Our last conversation had been civil, even warm, but I knew I'd made the right decision. I deserved someone who would stand with me unequivocally. As for me, I'd finally taken a vacation, my first in 5 years, to a coastal Maine cottage where no family drama could intrude. I'd spent 2 weeks walking on the beach, reading novels, and thinking about what I really wanted from life. On my last day there, I sat on the porch watching the sunset, a glass of wine in hand, when my phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. Check your email. Major client wants to book for fall wedding. Hint: she's on the cover of Vogue this month. I smiled, setting my phone aside without replying. It could wait until tomorrow. Tonight was still mine. The wedding that never happened had given me something more valuable than a husband or family approval. It had given me myself, my voice, my boundaries, my determination to never again accept being treated as less than. And that, I realized as I watched the sun sink into the ocean, was worth celebrating. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who consistently put your needs last?